The producer of Mario Kart is now in charge of Nintendo's mobile game development. They never actually said who that was, but the safest assumption is Hideki Kono, who has been the producer of Mario Kart since Mario Kart DS, so the last 4 games in the series, which is a long time. The mobile teams plan to release 5 games by March 31st, 2017. Nintendo's sticking to a smaller number of games in order to maintain the highest possible quality for each one, and also hopefully to ensure that all 5 of them are big hits in the mobile market, which, as I'm sure a lot of you know, is wildly unstable.
I have to say, I think this is actually all pretty good strategy. I mean, you're taking a proven producer who has made games that appeal to a wide audience, but he's not necessarily, so important that it's someone that Nintendo needs to have working on, their main console games. Mario Kart's his main thing, and you only have to do 1 per each console, so it's kind of fine to take him and move him to mobile development, and he's probably the most qualified person that you could risk, taking off your main development. And then, the whole plan of just 5 mobile games by March 31st, 2017, I think that's a pretty solid number to establish a presence in the market without devoting too many resources or just watering down and becoming just another, mobile company.
Right, and without plastering Mario and Link all over the mobile store to the point where no one cares what the games are. They just see Mario faces and kind of ignore them. Which happens with a lot of... I don't know how many versions of Angry Birds there are, but nobody cares about Angry Birds anymore because there are a bazillion versions of Angry Birds. So
right.
I think Nintendo's really onto something. A lot of people I have seen criticizing this strategy, but I think you're right. It is a really good plan.
Well, and if you look at Kono's other games, he's also worked on Nintendogs. So he's got some history with tapping into new audiences. So it may be that's part of the reason they're tapping him. And it may be that they don't even need him for Mario Kart anymore, and the team that he's worked with is matured enough to handle it without his leadership.
Well, we don't know that they're making any more Mario Kart content.
Well,
DLC Pack 2
not in the short term, though.
In the short term...
Who knows if they might release a new platform by March 31st, 2017.
So, as a nice side note to this little story, they're going to use mobile games to test the waters in emerging markets like China and Brazil, who don't really have video games in the same way that we do. They're super expensive, they're not very common. Nintendo had previously planned to launch completely new consoles in these spaces, developed specifically for an emerging market strategy, so not like Wii U and 3DS, but completely new things that wouldn't come to America and Japan and Europe, etc. So this mobile strategy, though, is completely supplanting that older one, likely just because mobile is so much more accessible for wider audiences, and it's significantly cheaper both for Nintendo and for the consumers in those markets.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is Nintendo doesn't have to foot the hardware costs. I mean, they make their money off software, not hardware, so it's already going to be difficult to launch in a brand new market like China or Brazil or wherever. So if Nintendo not only has to be worrying about making games that appeal to the people, but also consoles that are within their price range and that can be easily marketed in another language to another culture, etc. It's just much easier just to develop software and let an already existing hardware install base do that work for you.
I'd argue more effective too.
Yeah.
So not only are they doing something that takes a lot less time and energy from them, but they're doing something that's going to affect the most change anyway.
Yeah, so overall I have to say I think just about everything they've announced for their mobile plans, recently has sounded pretty good to me. I feel like they're making good steps in that area.
Yeah, me too, absolutely.
Well, their strides toward mobile shows willingness to do things that are globally relevant and not just relevant to what they see as the current console market.
Right. Hello everybody, thank you for listening to this Nintendo Week clip, NWC. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more highlights and discussion videos from Nintendo Week podcast, or subscribe to us on iTunes for weekly breakdowns of all your Nintendo news, discussion segments on subjects, games, and more, and tons of other features. Thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with another NWC.